What would you do if you saw your own face on a missing list while you are still alive, breathing and staring back at it? Imagine Clara standing in the middle of a crowded street when the poster flutters to her feet, and the name written across it is hers. The same smile, the same eyes, yet it says she disappeared. In that moment, Clara's heart races, her knees weaken, and one question burns in her mind: who buried me alive in a story that was never mine? This is where everything begins. Before we dive in, do well to like, share, comment and subscribe. Your support keeps these stories alive. It was supposed to be a normal morning. The sun had barely risen, the streets hummed with the ordinary sound of life, and Clara thought nothing unusual awaited her. But everything changed in a single heartbeat. She was walking along the roadside when a flyer slipped from a passer's-by end, carried by the breeze until it landed at her feet. Something compelled her to pick it up. She bent, brushed the dust off and froze. Her very own face stared back at her from the paper. Underneath it, bold letters screamed, "Missing person." The world tilted. For a moment, she thought it was a cruel joke. But the more she read, the colder her skin became. It carried her name, her age, and even the description of the dress she had worn just last week. A date printed at the bottom declared she had been missing for 10 days. Her breath came in sharp bursts. People moved around her, oblivious to her silent panic. She looked at their faces, half expecting someone to notice the impossible truth that the missing person on the poster was standing right there, holding the flyer with trembling hands. Panic seized her. Clutching the paper, she ran. Her legs carried her not to her own apartment, but straight to her parents' home. The familiar gates, the comforting smell of her mother's cooking drifted from the kitchen, the sound of her father's radio. It all should have suited her. Yet, nothing could silence the storm raging in her mind. That night, she barely slept. Even with her parents close by, the memory of her own face staring at her from that poster haunted every corner of her thoughts. Days later, Clara decided she couldn't avoid her apartment forever. The longer she stayed away, the heavier her unease grew. With hesitant steps, she made her way back. Her key felt unusually heavy in her hands as she slid it into the lock. For a brief moment, she hesitated, her heart pounding in her chest. Then, with a sharp turn, the door clicked open. Silence. The apartment was exactly as she left it, or so it seemed. She stepped inside, scanning the living room. Everything looked normal, yet there was an undercurrent, an invisible shift she couldn't explain. Her eyes fell on the coffee table. A book she had been reading before all this madness had begun lay there. Only, it wasn't quite the same. The book was no longer where she had left it. Someone had moved it. A chick rolled up her spine. Slowly, she touched the book, as if expecting it to burn her fingers. She tried to convince herself she might have forgotten moving it, but deep down, she knew the truth. Someone had been here. She backed away, her breath shallow, her ears straining for the faintest sound. The quiet of the apartment suddenly felt oppressive, like walls closing in. Clutching her back tightly, she whispered to herself, "I'm not imagining this. Someone knows." And with that thought, the terrifying question resurfaced louder than ever. Who had declared her missing, and why, when she was still alive? Clara spent the night pacing her apartment, unable to sleep. Every shadow, every creak of the floor sounded like a warning. Her heart pounded. Someone had been here. Someone had touched her things, her life, her routines. She scrolled through her phone. There it was, a video from an unknown account. It was taken in her own apartment. A figure moved in her living room, dressed in her clothes, opening her cabinet, flipping through her books. The camera angles was perfect, as if someone had been watching her all along. Clara stumbled back. She felt sick. She wasn't imagining it. Someone had stepped into her life. Her phone buzzed. A message. "See, we told you. You weren't alone." Fear gripped her chest like iron. She realized she couldn't trust anyone. Not friends, not neighbors, not even her own family. If someone could break into her apartment and live as her, the world she thought she knew no longer existed. Determined to uncover the truth, Clara made a decision. She would investigate herself. She would track who was watching her, who Who was sending the messages and who was daring to live her life? And she knew the first place to start was the last place she wanted to revisit. The streets where the poster had appeared. The next morning, Clara stepped out cautiously, heart hammering. Every passers-by, every glance from a stranger felt like a threat. The streets where the poster had been seemed eerily quiet, as if the world was holding its breath. She paused at the spot where she had first seen her face. Nothing seemed unusual until she noticed the small envelope pinned beneath the board. Trembling, she picked it up. Inside the photograph of her apartment from above and the notes, "We see everything. Step carefully." Panic surged, but so did determination. Whoever was doing this wanted her scared, wanted her running in circles. Clara refused to be a pawn. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown message. "You're learning fast. Don't slow down." The realization hit her. This wasn't random. This was planned. Every poster, every message, every video, all parts of a game she didn't agree to play. She needed allies, but who could she trust? Every friend she called had been confused, even suspicious. And if someone could impersonate her in her apartment, anyone could be part of it. As Clara looked around the street, a shadow detached itself from the corner. Moving toward her slowly, she froze. Her instinct screamed, "Run!" But curiosity and fear held her in place. The shadow paused. A voice whispered, cold and calm, "Clara, we are closer than you think." Her stomach knotted. She realized the danger wasn't outside. It was already inside her life, inside her world. Clara couldn't sleep. Every creak of her apartment felt like a warning. Her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it, focusing instead on the evidence she had gathered. The video of someone moving through her apartment, the missing items, the strange envelope. Something nagged at her. Subtle hints that her parents knew more than they let on. A look from her mother, too fleeting to read. Her father muttering under his breath whenever she mentioned the missing poster. Determined to act, the street where the poster had appeared might hold clues. Maybe someone had left something, a footprint, a scrap of paper, anything that could reveal the intruder's identity. And then, tucked beneath a faded newspaper, she found it, a small card, with her name written in an unfamiliar hand. On the back, "Follow carefully. One wrong move and it's over." Her pulse raised. Fear and adrenaline intertwined. Someone was taunting her, watching her, leading her somewhere. As she pocketed the card, a shadow flitted across the street. Clara froze. Her heart pounded, every nerve screaming. The city she knew had transformed into a labyrinth, and someone had already mapped every corner of her life. Clara followed the instructions on the card, moving cautiously through streets she had thought she knew. Every corner, every alley seemed suddenly unfamiliar, as if the city itself was playing tricks. The card led her to a small cafe, tucked away from the main road. A note was slipped under the door. Inside, answers await, but do not trust what you see. Her instinct screamed danger, yet curiosity and desperation pushed her forward. She entered slowly, eyes scanning every table, every shadow. The cafe was empty, save for a single envelope on the counter. She opened it. Inside, photographs of herself in her apartment, on the streets, even at work. Someone had been phoning her, documenting her every move. But there was more. A photograph of her parents, standing near the notice board the morning she saw the poster. Her father's hand brushed something from view, something she couldn't quite see. Clara froze. The pieces began to click. Her parents weren't just shocked. They had been involved somehow, even if reluctantly. Then the light flickered and the front door creaked. Clara spun around. No one was there. Yet, the sense of being watched intensified. She felt it in her skin, in her chest, in the back of her mind. A whisper floated from the shadow. "You are getting closer, Clara, but be careful. Some truths would burn." Fear and determination tangled inside her. She knew she was stepping into a dangerous game, one that could cost her everything: her safety, her life, even her family. Clara left the cafe with her heart hammering. Every step felt heavier, every passerby suspicious. Whoever had been sending the messages, following her, and slipping notes into her hands wasn't just nearby. They were always one step ahead. She retraced the street where she had first seen the poster. Her mind raced, recalling the subtle sign she had overlooked. Footprints in dust, a bent newspaper, the way a stranger had glanced at her for too long. Her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. Closer, you'll see soon. Fear twisted in her stomach, but determination pushed her forward. Clara began noticing pattern. Small details. The same black car parked near her apartment. A man in a hoodie loitering near the cafe. The way her own parents hesitated when she asked about her missing poster. Each observation was a threat, and she started weaving them into a plan. She would follow, she would watch, and she would uncover the truth. Hours later, in a narrow alley, she spotted movement. The black car she had seen earlier idled at the corner. A figure emerged, walking quickly but carefully glancing over their shoulder. Clara's pulse thundered. This was her chance. She ducked behind the lamppost. Silent, eyes locked on the stranger. But as the figure turned, she froze. It was her. Someone dressed like her, moving with her gestures, flipping a bag the way she did. The world she thought she knew shattered. Someone had stolen her life. Clara returned home, shaking, mind racing. The encounter in the alley confirmed her worst fear. Someone was living her life, imitating her. But how? And why? She confronted her parents. Did you know someone was following me? She demanded, voice trembling. Her mother flinched. Her father's eyes darted away. We didn't think it would come this far, he murmured. Clara felt a storm of confusion and betrayal. What do you mean? You let this happen? Her father took a deep breath. We never wanted you to see it like this. Someone powerful is involved. We try to protect you, but they've been careful, so careful. Her mother whispered, almost to herself. It's been happening for weeks, months. We didn't know how to stop it. Clara sank to the floor, her neck spinning. The person impersonating her wasn't just a random stranger. This was personal. It had been planned meticulously, and her own parents' hesitation suggested secrets deeper than she could imagine. And then her phone buzzed. Another unknown number. The message was short, deliberate, chilling. You're getting warmer, but beware, some truths will burn everything you love. Clara couldn't shake the feeling that every move she made was being tracked. The message from the unknown number burned in her mind. Some truths will burn everything you love. Determined, she began collecting evidence systematically. She compared the videos, photographs, and messages she had received. Patterns started emerging. The same locations, the same times, the same subtle details. Someone was orchestrating everything with precision. Her phone buzzed. A new video. This one was chilling. The impersonator was in her apartment, holding a notebook, pausing to writing something, and then they looked straight into the camera, wearing her expression perfectly. Clara's pulse raised. This was no longer just talking. It was a calculated takeover. Every second she hesitated gave the impersonator more control over her life. She whispered to herself, voice trembling but resolute, I will find out who you are, and I will stop this. Clara returned to the alley where she had first spotted the impersonator. Every shadow seemed alive. Her pulse thumped in her ears. Pinned to the lamppost was another envelope. Inside, a single photo of her parents with someone she didn't recognize. Standing too close, too familiar. A note accompanied it. They tried to hide it, but you are too late. Her stomach twisted. Fear and rage collided. Her parents were just bystanders. Somehow, they were linked to this stranger. Had they known? Had they been protecting her? Or betraying her? Clenching the photograph, she whispered to herself, someone has planned this for months, and I'm walking right into their trap. Inside her apartment, noticing that of place. At first, then she noticed a nearly invisible slip of paper under the door. On it, in unfamiliar handwriting, you are closer than you think, but some doors should remain closed. Fear and frustration tangled inside her. Each clue only led to more questions. Her phone buzzed again. Another message. Meet us tonight, alone, or risk losing everything. Her heart raced. Was it a trap, or a chance to finally understand the chaos consuming her life? She made a choice. No more running. Alone, she left her apartment, clutching the slip of paper and her phone. As she walked into the night, shadows stretching along, deep down, she knew. This confrontation could cost more than just my safety. It could destroy everything I hold dear. Clara's hands shook as she approached the meeting spot. A deserted parking lot, under flickering street lights. The shadow seemed alive, stretching unnaturally across the asphalt. She clutched the slip of paper tightly. Every nerve in her body screamed danger. One wrong step, one wrong move, and she could disappear, just like the posters had claimed she had. A figure emerged from the darkness, tall, deliberate, moving with the same posture and gesture Clara recognized as her own. Her pulse thundered. The impersonator was real, and they knew her better than she knew herself. "You're braver than I expected," a familiar chilling voice said. Clara froze. The figure's face was a mirror, yet not exactly her. Every expression, every twitch was both familiar and alien. "Who are you? Why are you doing this?" Clara demanded, voice trembling. The impersonator smiled faintly. "You don't understand yet. Everything you know about your life, someone else planned it. And your parents, they weren't completely honest with you either." Clara's stomach dropped. She realized the nightmare had layers she didn't imagine. Someone had been orchestrating her life, and now she was confronting them directly. A sudden sound made her spin. Footsteps approaching from behind. Clara's heart sank. The night was far from over, and she sensed the trap had only just begun. Clara's heart raced as the footsteps drew closer. She ducked behind the parked car, gripping her phone like a lifeline. The impersonator glanced around calmly, almost expecting someone else. Clara realized this meeting had a purpose, not just to confront her, but to lure her into the bigger plan. Her phone vibrated. Unknown number. "Look closer. Your parents holds the key." Clara's mind spun. Her parents weren't just hiding minor details. They were entangled in this plot, willingly or unwillingly, and now someone wanted her to see the truth. Clara swallowed hard, realizing she had no backup. Every alley could be compromised. Every street could lead to another trap. She forced herself to focus. Observation, calculation, patience. That was her only weapon now. The shadow of another figure moved in the distance, taller, more imposing. Clara's stomach dropped. The game was bigger than she had imagined. And then, in the faint light, she saw something she never expected. A familiar object in the stranger's hand, one that belonged only to her family. Her breath caught. The real truth, the one her parents had tried to hide, was about to surface. Clara's eyes widened as the shadow lifted the object in their hand. A family heirloom, unmistakably hers. Every instinct screamed danger. The impostor stepped into the dim light. Clara froze. The face beneath the mask was someone she knew. Though altered with makeup, hair, and subtle mimicry, someone close enough to have studied her life in terrifying detail. "You," Clara whispered, disbelief mixing with anger. Yes, their voice eerily calm. "I've been living your life, learning, observing, and your parents didn't stop me." The impersonator shrugged. "They tried to protect you, but some truths they thought you weren't ready to handle." Clara's hands trembled. Betrayal burned inside her. She realized this was bigger than just an impersonator. It was a calculated takeover of her life, and everyone she trusted had a piece in it. The impostor took a step closer. Clara backed up, realizing that escaping wasn't just about running. It was about outsmarting someone who knew her every move. Clara returned home. Her parents sat quietly. She said finally, "You knew someone was impersonating me, didn't you?" Her father exhaled slowly. "We did, Clara. But we couldn't stop them. Not then. Not without risking everything." "Everything?" she repeated, anger and confusion surging. Her mother stepped forward, voice trembling. is not just about you. This involves people who are dangerous. We try to protect you, but hiding the truth was the only way we could keep you safe. Clara's chest tightened. Fear mixed with betrayal. She had been living in nightmare where her identity had been stolen. And now, even the people who raised her had secrets tied to the danger. Clara realized she had no choice. She had to act. The impersonator, the shadowy figures, her parents, hidden knowledge, it was all connected. And now, the full game had begun. Clara had tracked the impersonator's movement for days. Every alley, every cafe, every shadowing corner had been mapped in her mind. She knew tonight would bring answers. She followed subtle clues: a torn piece of clothing left behind, a dropped notebook, the faint scent of perfume she recognized from her apartment. The imposter was careless, just enough for her to catch a trail. Her phone buzzed. Message: "You are closer than ever, but beware." Clara's heart pounded. She entered the old warehouse district. The shadow long and jagged. The air smelled of dust and rust. She knew the imposter would be waiting, testing her resolve. Then she saw movement. Someone emerging from the darkness, moving like her, stepping exactly the way she would. "You finally came," the figure said, calm and almost amused. "I was wondering how long it would take you." Clara took a deep breath. "I'm done being haunted. Tell me everything now." The imposter smiled faintly. "Everything you know is only the surface. Your parents, they were part of it from the start." Clara's stomach sank. The game had escalated and the deeper truth was waiting, ready to hit harder than she could imagine. The warehouse was silent, except for their footsteps. Clara's mind raised as the imposter spoke, revealing the extent of the deception. "You think I acted alone?" The figure said, "Your parents knew more than you realize. They were forced, but they also helped, and now it's time to meet the one truly in charge." A door creaked open, and the third figure appeared, hidden in shadows. Their presence filled the room with a chilling authority. Clara's breath caught. She recognized them immediately. A family friend, someone she had trusted all her life. The mastermind's voice was calm, almost gentle. Everything we did was for control. Clara's mind reeled. Her parents' secrets, the impostor, the threats, all orchestrated by someone she never suspected. Rage and fear battled within her. "Why?" she demanded. "Why destroy my life?" The mastermind stepped closer. Because power and survival often demand sacrifice. Clara's hands shook, but her resolve hardened. She wouldn't be a pawn any longer. The impostor lunged, trying to intimidate her, but Clara had anticipated the move. She sidestepped, grabbing the notebook the impostor had dropped before. Inside were plans, lists, photographs, evidence she could use to take back her life. "You underestimated me," Clara said, voice steady. "I'm not afraid anymore." The mastermind's eyes narrowed. Brave, but dangerous. One wrong move and everything falls apart. With careful planning, quick thinking and courage, Clara turned the tables. The impostor's carefully rehearsed movement flattered. The mastermind's control wavered. For the first time, Clara was in command. The battle was subtle, meta, emotional and strategic.